Well, in honour of reviewing Moulin Rouge, I am trying absinthe for the first time today. I have no idea how I'll react to this, whether I'll even like it, but, well, let's give it a go. Ooh. There you go. Cheers. That's not so bad. I see the green fairy!
Moulin Rouge is a film I haven't seen before, but since I have started enjoying musicals, it's one I've become more and more interested in watching. Bright, colourful and sexy, my wife wanted to watch this with me. I hear the film is described that way too. Starring Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman, Moulin Rouge was a huge hit in 2001 when it was released, but will my first time viewing make me fall in love or be heartbroken? Here's my review of Moulin Rouge. Paris 1899, a young English writer by the name of Christian moves into a small apartment underneath a theatre troupe who one day fall through his ceiling. He joins them in helping read lines and eventually rewrite their play Spectacular Spectacular, which is going to be presented to Harold Zeidler, owner of the Moulin Rouge, the most well-known club in town. Zeidler, on the other hand, is looking to secure investment from the Duke using his star attraction Satine to persuade him. Due to a complicated mix-up, Satine meets with Christian thinking him the Duke. After he reads poetry to her, she becomes captivated, but finds out he's just a writer, not the Duke. Right on cue, the Duke arrives and Satine distracts him and sends him away. She and Christian talk, but she passes out shortly afterwards. The Duke returns, finding them in a compromised position, but they convince him, with the help of Christian's Bohemian troupe and Harold Zeidler, that they were rehearsing a play to be put on in the Moulin Rouge, with the Duke financing not only the play, but the renovations to change the Moulin Rouge into a theatre. The story is a thinly veiled version of their love story, with the Duke none the wiser, but in later negotiations with Zeidler he demands Satine be his, and if he defaults, the Moulin Rouge will become owned by the Duke. Zeidler agrees and the work starts to get the play put together. Christian and Satine sneak around on dates, with the Duke becoming more and more frustrated. When Zeidler catches Satine kissing Christian, he tells her to break it off with him and spend the evening with the Duke. Satine passes out again and doesn't see either the Duke or Christian that evening. Satine is dying of consumption, which Zeidler learns but doesn't tell her. Meanwhile, Satine and Christian write a song to put in the play, which will be their song to each other, and during rehearsal, the Duke is not so subtly hinted at by one of the other dancers that this play is about Satine and Christian. He demands that the ending be changed so that his proxy gets the girl, and that their song is removed. The Duke also demands that Satine spend the night with him. She goes, but Christian can't help but get jealous. He walks past the tower they're in, and when the Duke sees Satine staring at Christian, he loses his temper and attacks her. Satine is rescued by a male dancer, but the Duke now states if he doesn't get the ending he wants and Satine after the show, he will have Christian killed. Zeidler tells Satine everything and she breaks off with Christian in order to save his life. During the premiere of the play, Christian sneaks in to angrily give Satine the money he would have owed her, but the Duke orders his death through his right-hand man. Satine sings their special song and Christian reunites with her on stage. The henchman is stopped and the Duke is punched by Zeidler before he can shoot Christian. Satine, after the curtain goes down, passes out and dies in Christian's arms. The film ends with Christian finishing his story 1 year later on his typewriter. So let's get right into it. Moulin Rouge took me a while to get into, but by the end, I enjoyed it. It's not my favourite musical, but it is pretty decent. The story is set up in flashback, not a trope I like generally, but it sets up the story, gives back details, and has Christian narrate his story. I'd say it's handled better than the Phantom of the Opera movie at least. The setup to the main story is fairly complicated, with the switching of characters, a misunderstanding about intentions, but I got into it around about the time that Bohemians and Zeidler fooled the Duke into funding the play. From here the story is a lot more straightforward, but the film loses some of its colour and energy as a result. You can have one or the other, it seems. Take for example the first time Christian and the Bohemians drink absinthe. A green fairy, played by Kylie Minogue and voiced by Ozzy Osbourne of all people, appears, making the scene more fantasy-like. There's not much outside the first act that does this. A shame really, because what attracted me to the film went away before the halfway mark. It feels like an adapted Shakespeare play. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the bard, but the premise sounds like something he would write, kind of like how The Lion King is an adaptation of Hamlet. My issues with the story are nitpicking at best, though I really don't understand why the petty jealousy causes one of the other dancers to tell the Duke that the play is a paragon for the real love story. It jeopardises the club and her own career just so she can be a petty bitch. There's some very interesting directorial and cinematographic choices. Is that a word? I love the opening, setting up the location well, a tour of the streets of Paris, and gives the same information from two different perspectives. There's also a lot of cartoonish sound effects, especially at the beginning, which pair with the colourful fun starting, but the mood changes as the film goes on. I do, however, have to take umbrage with the amount of speeding up and slowing down of moments. There's way too much. There's more slow-mo than ITV Sport instant replays. I was initially a little put off by the overacting of Nicole Kidman early on, but it's deliberate. She's over-egging things because she isn't worthy of love, in her opinion. All she has is her body, which unbeknownst to her is failing her. The conflict she suffers later on is brilliantly portrayed as she tries to find a balance between her loyalty to Ziedler and her love for Christian. Ewan McGregor is fine but outshone by Nicole Kidman in my opinion. The portrayal of the Duke by Richard Roxburgh is really over the top evil. It might be because this is Christian's telling of the story, portraying him as a villain, but from a viewer's point of view it can be a bit off-putting. Finally, there's Jim Broadbent as Ziedler, who has the balance just right between comedy and serious. I haven't seen much of Jim Broadbent in other films, with just one role coming to mind. His bright orange facial hair is okay, but you know what would look better on him?
A great big bushy beard.
But this is a musical, so what's the musical like? It's brilliant. You'll be singing along with almost every song because you probably know them all already. The soundtrack is mostly repurposed pop songs which fit well and in some cases breathe new life into them. The two most well-known songs are Come What May and Lady Marmalade. Now Come What May is Christian and Satine's special song, which is a great song and takes its titles from Shakespeare's Twelfth Night and that other well-known Scottish play he did. The other song, Lady Marmalade, has special memories for me playing Donkey Konga on the GameCube. The rest of the soundtrack is based on songs by Elton John, Madonna, Queen and so many more well-known artists. Special mention to the slowed down version of The Show Must Go On, which is amazing, and Like a Virgin, which is hilarious. The smartest one though is known as the Elephant's Love Medley. No, it's not that scene from Grimsby. It's almost a duel of songs between Christian and Satine. Using excerpts from 9 different songs makes for a really good scene that cements their relationship. Now getting into this review, I knew I'd have to talk about the musical. I even found the theatre where it's currently playing whilst in London recently. But the biggest surprise? The film came first. I thought for sure this was an adaptation from stage to screen. It feels like it at certain times. In my head I was comparing this to other films I'd reviewed that went from stage to screen, but those comparisons don't work now. Would I go see the stage show? Yeah, probably. There are others I'd like to see first, but I wouldn't say no to 2 tickets. The film did well, making $179.2 million on a $50 million budget. I'm surprised the budget was that low, to be honest, between licensing and the obvious high quality production going on. It was nominated for 8 Oscars, winning just 2 for Best Art Direction and Best Costume Design, and very much well deserved in my opinion. It also held the distinction for having the most expensive piece of jewellery ever made for a film. Crafted with over 1,300 diamonds, set in platinum, it had an estimated value of approximately $1 million or 2% of the whole film's budget. Whereas Moulin Rouge may not have been instantly captivating, it did suck me in and made me care by the end. I would suggest you approach the film with the same mindset. It might not be love at first sight, but by the end, I'm certainly fond of it. It does get my recommendation. Overall, Moulin Rouge has that je ne sais quoi. Thank you for watching this video. If you like what you see, please give this video a like and share it on social media. Maybe leave a comment below about what you thought of this video. And if you'd like to see more, please subscribe for more content. If you'd like to support me in other ways, you can buy merchandise at bradleyj.tmail.com, where you can buy t-shirts, tote bags and more. Or you can become a Patreon at www.patreon.com/BradleyJVoices for just £1 a month. Coming up next for the Film Review Open Challenge is The Graduate. For now though, thank you very much for watching.